Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm excited for today. This is one of our first Beacon interviews. So I'm RJ Horner, Beacon of Life and Leadership, along with our team.
Curtis Leong, Beacon of Positivity.
And Linda Tilson, Beacon of Team Empowerment.
And we are your Beacon of Leadership. And if you've been joining us recently, we hosted a seminar a couple weeks, almost a month ago now. It's been that long, where we introduced you to several new beacons within our community. And today is our very first interview with one of our beacons. So I'm very excited about that. Our guest today is Suzanne Plumley. She's the beacon of women's autistic enriched lifestyles. And let's see what I know about Suzanne so far. First of all, I met her in the mastermind group where she is such a contributor. She offers value to everybody. But she has such a heart and such a personality. So I love her for that. She's always got a smiling face. She's always shining and joyful. So let's see what I know about her. First of all, she is what she calls an Aspie woman. And that's because she was a late diagnosed on the autism spectrum. And she's recently, I don't remember how recently, but she's emigrated from New England to Texas, where she gets to live that warm, enjoyable life down there. And like I said, she now not only has been diagnosed with Asperger's or on the autism spectrum, but now she's made it her mission to teach people about it and help people live an empowered life with this special needs is what we'll call it. There's probably a better term for it, but it is people who are otherwise abled. That's a good way to put it. So Suzanne Plumley, welcome to our show today. And I'm so excited for this interview with you.
I am so happy to be here. Let me tell you, I've been wanting to tell my story for so long because it's so important that women out there realize that they're not alone. It's so challenging to feel like you're on the outside of the group all your life. You're the last one picked for the gym class. You're the one that's never picked to be on someone's team. You're the one that's I could go on and give you all sorts of examples, but I think I'm showing the picture now. Not a lot of friends. People looked at me like I had, at the time, 4 eyes, and I had a very high voice, which is much part of being autistic. And so I was called Mouse. And it wasn't comforting because it wasn't a joyful word. It was just a accusational word. We know what elementary school kids can be like. But I can go back to 2nd grade, but I'm not going to tell you the whole story. But that's when I first started feeling different than all my classmates. And I did the best I could to fit in, to jump into the circle and such, because this is the way my brothers were. They got involved. They were in sports. Did well in school. And I was always trying to keep up with them. I was trying to keep up with them. They were in the AP classes, and so I pushed and my parents even said, you don't have to push that hard, but I felt like I needed it. So that just gives you a little history about what kind of a go-getter I have become, is trying to keep up with my brothers. Now, lately, I even came up with the expression that my brothers were like Fuji apples, and I was a Red Delicious. And this was the victim side of me, is I just never felt like I was quite as good as they were. And sadly, my parents didn't realize what my needs were, because autism back in the 70s and even the 80s was not even a word in the family dictionary. It was not there. If you were to say you were autistic in 1975 when I was in 2nd grade, they would have been like, what's autism? And I didn't know. My parents didn't know. My mom even said, no doctor said you were autistic. You're not autistic. Just recently, this past summer, she said that. And I'm like, yeah, I know, because that's because women are late diagnosed. Women did not even come to be known as autistic until Tony Atwood in 2008 realized that women were on the spectrum. So let's just go back to where my brothers were. I had this need to keep up with them, keep up with them, keep up with them. I considered myself the Red Delicious compared to their Fuji apples, and I didn't like it. I felt less than. And they didn't make it any surprise that I was less than them, which hurt to my core. And this is where the pain starts. I felt less than. They didn't have to say the words, but they treated me with such. And so this is why this becomes more important. As I get older, I became into myself. I learned that as part of myself, I love music. I started to excel in music to the point that one of my successes that I took clarinet up and I learned how to be in the first row of the clarinet section in 4 years to everybody else's 8 years. And even then they don't get into the first clarinet section. So I'm like, okay, that's interesting. And so I felt good. My home was the band room, but it was also my escape was the band room. And that was such a challenge. Oh, excuse me. I thought I put that in airplane mode. That was such a challenge.
Live
Yeah.
interviews, eh?
There we go. I am so sorry. So going
Don't worry
back to
about it.
where I was, it was like that was my escape. I needed to have a place, and this is what a lot of women who are on the spectrum realize is they need to get away from that feeling being rejected, and the band room was the place that I found. After I graduated from high school, which a lot of us Aspies are able to do, it's because we don't have the intellectual issues, we don't have the intellectual deficits, that we're able to get into the graduate from high school, we go on to college, we get a college degree. I didn't first learn that I had a problem until I was in my senior year of elementary education in my student teaching practicum, and I wasn't cutting the mustard. And I didn't know why. I didn't know why I could not be like all the other teachers. I had the heart, I had the passion, I loved the kids, but what was up? Well, to make a long story short, I never got into teaching at my own classroom. And I always felt pained by the fact that I wasn't successful. I went on into my life and I found other directions, just like me being self-motivated. I became a Girl Scout leader for 9 years. I was an after-school PTO coordinator for enrichment programs. There's the enrichment in me. I was the PTO enrichment organizer, which meant that I created all these different enrichment classes for the kids to stay after school and learn about different fun activities like newspaper or games and puzzles or karate or scrapbooking, you name it. I pulled it all together. So I felt successful in those fields, but I still never got into my key position as being a teacher. And it wasn't until I was in 2018 that I get fired as a substitute teacher because I couldn't control the first grade classroom. I get fired. Here I am loving the kids and loving everything, but because I couldn't handle the chaos of a first grade classroom and a child went home and told his parents that I hit him, I was immediately fired because the principal didn't trust me. I still didn't know I was Aspie at this time. I still did not know this. Shortly after this, I get fired. I also had a major accident where I was hydroplaned across southbound traffic in a rainstorm, got hit by a Mack truck, got hit by a minivan, but I walked out without a scratch on me. And I'm like, who does that? Who walks out of a major accident like that and lives? And I can tell you, as someone who has had a mission implanted in her to become something bigger than what she thought she was. I went from thinking I was only going to be an elementary school teacher to having this accident and getting down on my hands and knees and saying, God, you saved me from this accident. What's next? 3 days later, I'm lying in bed, figuring out my life, when all of a sudden I get onto a podcast and here's Mary Morrissey talking about her book, Building Your Field of Dreams. And I was riveted by this book and this woman with this angel voice. And 3 days later, I'm like, wow. I joined her self-taught program because Aspie women are self-taught and we love to learn. Took her in her program. While I'm doing the program, I'm creating a dream of an entire enrichment center where families can come complete with blueprints on graph paper. And I put that scrapbook together as my dream of what I would do to solve the problem. And I go to this Dream Builder Live, which is in October of 2018. And she had asked in an email, tell me what the Dream Builder program meant to you. I said, well, I don't feel confident to get on a video and tell her, so I'll do what I can do, which is make a scrapbook of my dream. I had the awesome experience that I got to meet her the very first day of that Dream Builder Live, which is something no one does. But because I had the scrapbook that I had created with her of my dream, I was able to present it to her, and she opened it up and tears came down her eyes and she said, you did this just for my Dream Builder program? What I didn't know at the time was the fact that Aspie women, autism is known for visual acuity and being ultra clear about what they want. Did not realize this. This is like Bill Gates. Bill Gates knew what he wanted. Steve Jobs, Albert Einstein, and Thomas Edison. They have it up here. They just have to create it. And this is where my visual acuity came in. I knew I had the memory going background in the back. I knew that I could tell someone exactly where an item was in the grocery store, what shelf, how far down, whether and where to find the exact item, because I had a photographic memory. I could remember telephone numbers, I could remember birthdays, I could remember people's names and everything. I had the memory going forward and backward. And it wasn't until I got into the coaching program and one of the people said, I think you might be on the spectrum because of my behaviors. Man, was that a euphoric moment the day I found out I was on the spectrum. And now, because I've been self-taught, because I have this passion, I want to help other women find this passion of being an Aspie woman and not get stuck in the shell that I was way back in 2018, where I didn't know where I was going. Or even back when in 1990, when I didn't even get a teaching job because I wasn't good enough. Now I know why I was not meant to be an elementary school teacher. This is what I'm meant for.
Absolutely. And you can see the passion you have for it. You can see how much it meant to you to take part in that program and be able to present something that you created. Let's face it, that's all your creation, right? That's your mind at work. And it is a mind that's in tune, that's, functioning at a higher than more acceptable level, right? And that's what people don't realize about late or autism at all, whether it's late diagnosed or not. So Curtis has a wonderful question that I think applies here and we really need an answer to.
I would love to answer.
My first question or
second question?
Second. What advice would you give to someone who recently received an autism diagnosis and is struggling to come to terms with it?
The best way I can explain to them is to get as much knowledge by reading all of the other books that are out on the market by other very strong autistic individuals, whether it be Temple Grandin or Rudy Simone, or there are a number of other authors that have come out. So the first thing, because we're self-learners, is dive in to use the self-learning to your advantage and read as much as you can and see how much the information resonates with you, but know at the same time that it's not going to apply to everybody. So my first advice is to use your talent and your interest in self-learning and dive into the library of books that are out there.
Very good. There's lots of them out there, right?
There are quite a few out
Awesome.
there. And I also will provide a year-long study of different books that I read to help me
Mhm.
through. So if they don't feel that they're confident enough to read the books and get through
Yep.
them, they should come join my yearly 12-book program all about it, and we can have a discussion together.
Awesome.
Oh, that's
Sounds
amazing.
great.
I have actually something I want to work on, much the same thing where it's a leadership study. So I love that. I love taking those books that we've all read that, that have helped us on our journey and making textbooks out of them, making study guides out of them. So we can all learn on a similar level. And the best part is we all pick different pieces out of it and we carry
Yep.
on our vision. So Linda, you have a question.
Oh, she's muted.
Muted.
I have several questions of
Your
you.
last one.
And so the last one, or the one I'm going to ask is, what would someone with autism want people to know? Because I know that you've shared some things about what you want them to know, but what are some other things that are maybe a little bit less obvious, I guess?
All right, that's a great question. And it's something that a lot of women grapple with. And that is that as much as it looks like we like to be alone, we actually don't. It's just the fact that we don't want to be rejected by trying to go into groups that don't want us. So what we really want people to know is that we want the invitations. We don't want to butt in where we're not wanted. And I think that's key, because I think so many women get forgotten, get left out of invitations to go out to dinner, to go into a group setting, because people think that we want to be alone. But we don't want to be alone. We just don't want to be rejected in a group that doesn't want us. That's the key right there. Another thing is that we have so many abilities, but because we may have a certain deer in headlight look, people misunderstand it as being disability. And we're not disabled, but yeah, we have certain facial looks that we're understanding what is being asked of us. It's called audio sensory processing, where if there's a lot of noise around me, and I can give you an example, my daughters and I will go into a crowded restaurant and there's a lot of noise, and there's kitchen noise, there's music. And my daughter will say, "Oh yeah, we forgot you're deaf." I said, "I'm not deaf. There's just too much noise when I hear it all." So a lot of people think we're deaf. We're not. We hear everything. And it's funny because one day she was working on her phone outside and it's beeping and she's like, "You heard that?" I said, "I hear it all." And that's the key. We hear everything. So a lot of people will think they can't hear anything. It's because we're overloaded by noise and we can't portion it out. And that's another thing is that I like people to know is get us into a quiet room. And we're so comfortable. Put us in the middle of a rock concert, we're going to be a completely different person. It's all
Absolutely.
in where we are.
Yeah, I remember, and you and I have had this conversation. So because my niece, when she was a young adult, or not even, she was a teenager, and she was she was sensitive to different noises. Like the garbage truck would just drive her mad. You know what I mean? And then even the fire truck being louder and more noisy, she'd like you know what I mean, scream. And I mean, my niece is not, she's not mentally challenged or anything like that. She doesn't have issues. It just, so we were wondering, what the heck is this problem that she has? Why does this drive her so mad? And later to find out that this is a symptom of autism, right? So so then Curtis, you have another great question that kind of follows. Go back to your first question.
Okay, 1 second. What are some common misconceptions about autism level 1, and how can we work to dispel them?
Some of the common ones are, as I say, when it comes to us applying for jobs and going in for interviews, a lot of people think that we're either unexperienced or unable to do a job, when actually it's the anxiety that builds up from the interviewing process, not knowing the questions ahead of time and then being expected to rapid fire answers off. We are required to, in a traditional interview, have a question answered every question. But for us, we need to think about it in order to, one, think about what we want to say, and two, is what we're going to say going to meet what you are looking for in a candidate? So we have a twofold process in every interview question, not a single. You can't just automatically come up with the right answer in 2 seconds later. We need to have
process time.
Information ahead of time
Yep.
or questions ahead of time to practice. That's the big thing, is that we don't do well in interviews. And it comes down to the fact that so many of us are what I call either underemployed, which is what I am. I'm underemployed because I have a college degree, but I'm working in retail. And that's very painful because I know I could do better, but because society hasn't accepted my talents as being good enough for them, or that they think that my behaviors are equal to autism level 3, which is incapable of being left alone or being able to manage on my own. There's a generalized view of what autism is, and that sadly we all get clumped into this pile instead of being as this pile here, being all across the spectrum. And I think that's the part that really hurts us the most, is that people have such a narrow view of what autism is that rather than waiting to hear what we're able to do, they've already decided what we're not able to do. And that's the big thing. I could tell you so much more, but for the sake of this time,
Very good.
I'll stop there.
Thank you very
I
much.
actually want to jump in here.
Yep.
I appreciate what you shared about the interviewing and how having the questions in advance makes it easier for someone to be able to answer them. Would you also say that in addition to having something written out, would you find that you would even do better yet if it was presented in an audio with the wording at the same time, so you could process the words or questions that are going to be asked and then hear it as it's flowing? Would that help you to have those two taken together?
Absolutely.
Okay.
In fact, when I went to write my second book, which I haven't published it yet, I talk about being in the classroom and how teachers need to adapt a twofold or even a threefold education practice, where one is audio, one is visual, and one is tactile, which means that if you're going to talk about the coniferous tree, which is the pine tree, not only are you talking about it, but you're also handing out a booklet that says, these are the cones, these are the needles, this is what it is, and passing around a pine tree branch at the same time. So yes, every possible way that we can take in that same information would be ultra important to us.
So
Thank you for
sensory.
answering. Thank you for answering that. And the reason why that it came up for me, and the timing of this is perfect. I had a person reach out to me that wanted to go through some one-on-one coaching. And the thing that they had told me was, can you go ahead and give me all the specifications written out? And can you put it in to video and audio so that I can take a look at everything that we talked about? I can go back, I can hear it, I can formulate new questions. And you know what? Maybe I see the world differently, but I would not have known that he was on the autism spectrum had he not even said anything. I just thought that he just had a different way of wanting to take in the information that was taking in all the senses. And that's what I saw, is someone that wants to take in all the senses to really analyze the information that I'm sharing, because they wanted to know what kind of experience they were going to have. And so, I had learned about all of these things being taken together as being a preference. And so I actually attributed his request to the field that he's in, which has to do with the information technology and production type position that he's in right now.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
so you just brought that together full circle for me. So I appreciate that.
Well,
Absolutely.
the other interesting thing, if I can go quickly,
Yeah,
is
go ahead.
if given a choice between audio or video, we will even take video. So 90% of the time, I will ask people if we can do a Zoom call over an audio call, because then if I miss something, I can read your lips and get it at the same time.
I might be autistic, man. I don't like phone calls, but I love Zoom calls. So I get you there. I feel you. But so on that topic, because again, we need to learn about how to, because like Linda says, there are people who are on the spectrum, autism level 1, and we would have no idea, you know what I mean? But it's just those little things that, they have higher tuned frequencies, shall we say. So Curtis, you have another great question that really fits in here. So your final question.
Yep. Let me chat here 1 second. What are some strategies or techniques that individuals with autism can use to navigate social situations and communicate effectively with others?
Okay, the best thing that they can do is to go in and be an observer. We are great at observing people. We read their energy, we read their comfort level, we read their moods. And the best thing to do is don't jump in thinking that, okay, I'm going to pretend not to be autistic. Be authentic. Use your strengths to your advantage. Go in and observe. Read each person. You can pick up on their energy of how they react to you. And if you find that there's someone that's a little bit not looking at you eye to eye, they're not someone that you want to take personally. And I still struggle with this too. I have a couple of individuals that I have a hard time with. So I'm still growing too in this fact. But most times you go in, you read the mood, and you want to really get to know what's going on. And I would say sometimes I can pick up on someone's having a bad mood. Yeah. And by asking questions, you can get yourself into the conversation better than if you go in knowing something and acting like you know it all. That's something you don't want to do. And I try and teach people that if you turn it into a question, now you're more getting a conversation going, which makes it easier for you to put the question out and get information back. And you can read people even further when they give you an answer. Those short, quick answers means that the person isn't as comfortable with you. But if someone's willing to look you in the eye and answer long, you know where your support system is. Your support system is the people that will continue to engage in conversation, and it's two-way street. The people who give you two-word or three-word answers, I would try and don't take it personally, but don't make them your allies. Read the room.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Okay. Thank you. Do you have another question, Curtis?
No, it's good advice. It kind of gives you like a broad spectrum of social development in general as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I was going to say, is that, what you're saying, it applies to people on the spectrum, but that applies to anybody. You know what I mean? Yep. My humility is what gets me through a lot of situations. I'm coachable. I want information. Look, you know a lot of things, Suzanne, that I don't know. Right? I want to learn about those things. And my humility is what keeps me grounded. It keeps me asking great questions, and I can always find out more information. So, don't go in acting all bullheaded and charge in and, I know this and I know that. And look, I have a voice. I'm not afraid to use it. But the fact that I'm not afraid to ask questions, you know what I mean? I'm not afraid to act like I don't know it at all. I don't know everything, and I want to know more, and that can be beneficial for everybody out there, but certainly for people on the spectrum.
Yes.
So you have a great program, and we're going to talk about that before we're done today. You have a great initiative that we're going to promote and support here in this community. But Linda has, like she mentioned, she's been working with somebody who is autistic, and she has a couple of great questions that are really going to help her be able to serve this person. But also by having these questions, we're going to get to learn how to work with people who are on the spectrum. So Linda, start with your questions, because I want to know the answers to these too.
Okay, so I'm going to start with the higher level one. And I want to know, how have you shifted someone's mindset that people with autism have skills that can help an organization or business achieve their goals? So you're working with people, you're working with organizations. How have you shifted people's mindsets to want to employ someone with a certain skill set?
Okay, what I would start by saying is that you really want to zero in on helping them talk about their strengths. Because as you can tell from me, when I know and I'm confident, my passion comes out. And in order to know whether or not someone is going to fit into a certain organization, find out where their passion is. You can see I come alive. Now, for instance, I may not come alive during coding or doing, but I like architecture, so I might come alive. So you really want to read them and ask them about different interests that they have and see how their eyes light up, see how they sparkle and get all excited. And when you find that spot, that sweet spot where someone comes alive, that's how you can market them to help them with different get into the right organization. So often, and I can tell you the exact opposite. So often what happens is we get pigeonholed because they think we're disabled into the janitorial work. Oh, wow, she's autistic. Well, let's put her on the bathroom duty. Let's put her on the sweeping duty. And you'll just take away all the power and all the zest out of that person by thinking that they're not able to work at those higher levels. So it may be a inventory of where their passions are. Maybe, although they may not talk about it, you can say, well, tell me about your bedroom. What do you do? What do you have displayed in your bedroom? And see where they're in. If they talk about, oh, I have all my things lined up straight and I can name them all, then you know that they're going to be great in the sorting industry of the organization. Oh, well, I could name every movie from this time. Oh, well, this person's going to be a historian. They can have a long list. So find out where they sparkle. Find out, do a little interest inventory, and that is going to be your key to knowing where they're going to shine. Ask them about, describe your day to day. And when they get that sparkle with anime, whoa, she's great at being into the artist work. So you'll be able to tell by having a normal conversation where they're able to pull in all of their interests, and you can watch for that sweet spot where they come alive.
I love what you said about the interest inventory, because that's where it is. That is where it is. You find out where someone's interested, and the moment they talk about it, they will light up. And if they're not interested, the converse can happen. And so thank you very much for that. Now I'm going to shift to the other side of the house, where what does your process look like when you work with someone who is autistic? So you're working with that individual, and you're working with an organization, and you're bridging them together in a way that you could form and foster a relationship that would be mutually beneficial for both parties. What does that look like when you're doing that work? Because I know that's the work that you do, but I want everyone to hear what that looks like so we have a visual.
Okay, so when I am working with someone, I want to find out where their confidence is. Are they stuck inside of a shell of control? Are they feeling like they can talk freely, even in a one-on-one? And what I would need to know by knowing where their level of communication is, and that's the key right there, their level of communication. I am very high on the level of communication, so I can draw them out with questions. And the biggest key I can tell you is question versus telling. Questions is going to bring that individual out. And if they're still meek inside themselves, you know that their skills are not strong, which means that they need to be on a job where they have a checklist of responsibilities where they're not going to have to interact with others except for maybe minimally to say, okay, I've completed this, and this. However, if you have someone like myself who is more communicative, you can go to them and say, hey, she has it. She can tell you exactly A to Z, everything you need to know. She's a researcher, she's thorough. So again, it's a person by person. The whole reason why they created the spectrum is not a long line. It's a circle. And when you find someone who they're either going to be very strong research, but very light on communication, or they may be strong on communication and weak in technology. So you really have to be a investigator to find out where their strengths are. And as I said, communication skills and interactions are going to be your three biggies. And depending on where they fall in those three spectrums will tell you how much you have to work with the company to say, okay, this person is going to get everything accomplished that you want done, but they need to be in a quiet corner of your office. They need to have nobody dropping things on their desk. They need to have things such that nobody touches their property, and they'll be great. However, you may have another person where, because they're so strong in communication, they want to have a weekly time to set up a presentation. I mean, I'm the presentation type. I could get up in front of a group and do a presentation, but not everybody's like that. So skills, interaction, and level of communication are going to be your key to helping the organization know exactly what that person is.
I absolutely love how you have tied those three things together because it's brilliant. You're spot on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so, and I love two things I picked out. One, finding out what they're great at. Well, finding out what they love to do. So I have a book on my shelf called Do What You Love and the Money Will Follow. I don't care who you are. That applies to everybody, whether they're on the spectrum or not. Find out what they enjoy doing. Look, I'm watching the broadcast over here on another screen, and I don't got audio over here, but I'm watching it, and I can see your passion, your animation. You're all over the place, and you're just spouting out what you're talking about because I can tell you love to do this. By the way, you mentioned earlier that people on the spectrum are not great at interviews. They're not great at handling the questions thrown at them. We did not give you these questions in advance. You have not prepared for this interview today, but you are just doing fantastic. You are fielding these questions. You have answers for all of it because this is something you've worked on for a long time. This is something you love and you're passionate about sharing it, and it shows. So that's amazing. I don't know if you know her, but I've watched a movie a while back about the woman who invented the slaughter.
Yeah,
like the modern day slaughter. Stats at Temple Grandin. Thank you. I couldn't remember her name because what an amazing woman who created this process where, look, people were getting hurt. People were dying because they're trying to, lead the cattle to slaughter, which, let's face it, that's a fact of life. We need to eat our beef, right? You come from Texas, you know all about that, or you're living in Texas. So we need to eat our beef. So it's part of, if we want to create this food, we have to, get them to go there. So she created this process, and through her mind and her thinking level, she is. I don't know if she had a PhD, but she has a master's degree, and she's an architect and an engineer. So here's an autistic woman, and she's a higher level. I know she's higher than level 1, but yet at the same time, such a high level of thinking, and so capable of creating that she created this process, and that's what I'm saying. So there are people on all levels where they're capable of creating. So I love this topic, and I love where it can go.
we are all level 1. There isn't anything higher than that. And she and I share the same visual acuity that we have. Some people are just more educated, they have more degrees, but as far as the spectrum is concerned, everybody is everyone who is without an intellectual deficit and communicative, but still has sensory or audio processing or tactile processing issues are still on the spectrum.
Okay.
So it's one of those things where I don't mean to disrespect you, but it's that she has more education, but she and I are still here. I could continue to go on and get my education. I went through another agency to get my education, but yeah.
Yep. No, thank you for that. Because again, these are things we don't know. The general public does not know. So these are more topics I'd love to delve into with you and maybe teach people about autism. Because look, if we're going to be successful with your program, which we're just about to talk about, if that's going to be successful, people need to know about autism and how people can manage and how people can operate, even though they may have autism. So look, I'm excited about this program. You're excited. We've got all our panel here excited. What is the name of this program? And let's talk about your vision for it.
Okay, let's go into the visual once again, because this is where I operate best from. Imagine 2 islands that are connected by a broken bridge. Right now, we're living on a broken bridge. Society and neurotypical lives are on one side of this broken bridge, and autistic individuals are on the other side. Now, there have been some that have gone further up the bridge than others. Some are stuck in the woods. They haven't even approached the bridge yet. But imagine having me with a torch leading these women and men, but I'm mostly working with the women just because I am female and I can speak to them, and we're even more undiagnosed than the men are, just because it was not seen in women as early as it was seen in men. And that's why it's more women. There are men that are late Aspies too, but imagine me being a torchbearer and I'm leading these people up this broken bridge. I need people to meet me at the top of the bridge to say, I accept you for exactly who you are without you masking. Let me help you go into a society the way you are and get the help you need so you can thrive beside me. Instead of having this broken bridge where I'm walking up, but no one wants to meet me. So the name of the program is called Bridge Builders. And I'm the leader of the autistic individuals, leading them up to say, yes, we want a chance to thrive in this world. And we have a group of members in society that say, yes, we see your capabilities. We see you're available. We see your passion. We see everything that you can do, but you need our help so that society will accept you better. So now we have the bridge builders walking up the other side of the bridge, meeting us, so that what happens is, if you're in finance and I have a woman who needs help with finance, I bridge you together. If you are needing technology help, I find someone who is strong in technology from the other side, and I compare you. And then with home and health, I have an individual who will help individuals that, that hard part in your life where something breaks down in your house and you don't know the right service person to ask, but you figure it out and you can kind of feel whether or not they're good enough. Unfortunately, Aspie individuals get taken a lot. So I even have someone that I'm going to put onto my team that will say, yes, this is broken. Yes, you need help. This is the person you need to get in contact with. And what I mean is that so often Aspies don't know when something's broken to the point of naming expert. And then you have some of these people that come in that say, oh yeah, I'm an expert. But I need someone on my team who's going to say yes, but they're a credible expert. They're not a paper expert. So I even have someone that's going to be on my team that will help people know when their houses or their cars need maintenance and what kind of maintenance is appropriate maintenance. I have someone for lasting relationships. I have a good friend of ours, Mark Maynard, is going to be my male Aspie individual who is going to help the men who have questions, because I don't have that capability. But he's going to help the men find resources, because if Sally has a brother Sam who just gets diagnosed and I can't help Sam, but Mark can help them find the right person who can help. I have someone who will help with fitness. Oh, I have all different categories. There's 12 in total that I am looking for team leaders who will help me create a team. But I'm also looking for just volunteers in every state, because I kind of want to make it like a CVS for Aspie people. Okay, I need this help. You're in my state. I will connect the two because you live in California. This person lives in California. You are great in finances and they need your help. So I will connect them. And that's where the bridge is completed.
Mhm. And then there's other ways I see this. First of all, amazing that you have Mark to help, guide the men. But I also believe, and look, I have great vision. I'm going to help you make sure this organization takes off, because there's great value in it. And we need to teach people, what it is, autism, how we can help people navigate it, become better in society. But we also believe, you and I, that these people are capable of playing just about every role in the corporate world, in a work environment. They have skills, and like you said, there's people who have research capabilities, there's people who are great with numbers, there's people who are great with artistic creativity. There's people who are great with brainstorming. They can come up with ideas that people just don't see. So there's places in the work environment for everybody. And if we find those people in the corporate world, the bankers, the financiers, the lawyers, the people who are leaders of industry, who are able to recognize that, yeah, these people have value, they can find a place. If we can get them to, like you say, be that bridge builder on the other side, who you've come up with a system. You've told us the system, the 3 steps, the skills, the interaction, the communication. We assess people on these 3 environments, and we can know where they can fit in. And now the bridge builder can say, you know what, you would be great in a bank. Let's see what we can do to get you some accounts, right? And now they start working at, look, next thing you know, they're making $250,000 a year because they're bringing in 5-10 million for this organization. They're capable of that. We believe that. So, we need to
exactly. And they'll no longer become underemployed or unemployed. I can't tell you the number of people that are unemployed because no one believes in them. Their bridge is broken. They don't have a support system to say, I believe in you. I know what you can do. Come with me and help me. I will help you get a job. Or come with me and I will solve your problem, one or the other. And it is a volunteer-based program. So we're not asking a lot of time from volunteers. And I think that's a big part. And I kind of liken it to jury duty. And I'm like, for the most part, we live our lives. We never know when we're going to be sequestered for jury duty. And that's the same idea with being a bridge builder. It's not like it's a daily occurrence where I'm going to call you up every day and say, I have this person, I have this person, I have this person. You have to not only be in their need basis, but you also need to be in their neighborhood or within their state to get the help. And the more volunteers we get, the less anyone really has to serve. But it's 2 hours maximum. It's a 30-minute call to find out what's going on, a 60-minute of taking the action steps and getting their problem solved, and a 30-minute follow-up and done.
It could really be that simple. I do see a little bit, and we'll talk about this because I would love to see where this organization is going to go. Because again, first of all, you need funding. You know what I mean? There has to be some funding to run all this. Because look, and I could see even volunteer coaches. Because look, let's face it, we need those people who can walk with them, maybe work out a plan for the maintenance package, the finance package, if you own a home, because some of the autistic people own homes who need maintenance. They service all the services. Look, I pay maintenance fees with my Enercare. So that's my, my gas, my hydro, my water heater, my furnace. But so I pay electrical maintenance fees. I pay plumbing maintenance fees, because now I don't have to worry about that. That stuff breaks down. I call somebody, they come to my house. Now it might cost me if they have to pay parts and stuff like that. But the guy who comes in to, because these are costly service calls, the guy who comes in to do the service, I don't pay for that because I pay monthly. But somebody who's autistic might not know how to do all that. So, coaches spending 30 minutes or, an hour a month with this person so that they get to know this person. They can set up a plan to take care of their needs. And then if they do need something, if they have a question or concern, they can call them up and say, I don't know what to do here. Can you figure out, can we talk about it? And so, you spend their 30 minutes or so. Volunteer, of course, and I'm sure there are many people who would volunteer for this role. So now they call them up and say, you know what? I know so-and-so, because being a coach, we know a lot of people. I know so-and-so, and they can, they're in this industry. They know what to do. Let me connect you with them. And now you make that phone call to this connection and bridge that gap. I so see where this organization can go and the opportunities that it has for people out there. So I'm looking forward to what you've started this vision, and I love the vision, and I hope we've painted a picture for people out there, because I'm excited about this. I know you are too, and I think our team is excited about it as well.
Yeah. It's really, imagine what we can do to increase our workforce by bringing in these individuals that now have the skills, and because the bridge builders believed in them, and that's a big crucial thing. We need to find heart-centered coaches, and I started with the coaches first because I believe they are heart-centered. We need heart-centered coaches to come and take them by the elbow and say, come on, you have skills, you have talents. It's time for us to help you get your leg up, because just the fact of how pained we feel in society that doesn't accept us has to end, has to stop. The number of people that are on disability as Asperger's level 1 because nobody believes in them is such a sad state. Another thing that you need to know, and this is very important, is the number of women committing suicide because nobody will talk or spend time with them or believe in them is horrific. Women are committing suicide because they are not accepted. And I know that pain. I have not gone that far, but I know that pain. And that's why you need an Aspie woman leading this, because I'll tell you, you can have any therapist, but unless they're also Aspie, they're not going to truly know her pain the way I will know it.
Absolutely. And you can count me in among your volunteer coaches. I would love to do some work for people out there. There was a time, we've talked about this with my niece when she was a teenager, and we're trying to get her to do her homework. And, I didn't understand enough, or didn't understand people or how to deal with people enough to be able to work her through her homework or her struggles or what she was working on. I've learned a lot since then. I've learned a lot about compassion and being a people person. And I know I'm in a perfect spot to help you with these people. So look, like I said, setting up those life plans. I'm a life and leadership beacon. So I'm more than excited to spend a couple of hours, learning people and coaching people and getting them that stable lifestyle that we're talking about. So love where this is going. We could talk like there's this program is something that we could spend so much time on. We're going to feature you over the next year. I'm so pleased that you're a beacon of life and leadership.
Thank you.
You are going to shine within our community. So excited for the work we're going to continue to do. We're going to enlighten people about autism, what it means, how people can understand it, how people can learn to live with people who have autism, learn to accept autism for what it is, and change the world. Look, this is something, and this is why you are a beacon, because your program is going to change the world. Not only will it change the people you're going to serve, it will change the workforce. It will change the economy because, like you say, it'll get a lot of people off social assistance and other money draining cons, or the tax dollars, right?
Yeah.
But again, the confidence that it will give to these people. So look, let's say we've 2 years down the road, we've put 1,000 or 2,000 or even 5,000 people in a position where they've achieved something. Now they're an example for all the other people who A, may not be diagnosed, B, they have a desire, but like you said, they're not shy. They don't want to step forward. They want people to approach them and say, you know what, I'd love to help you. Here's how I can help you. But they don't know how to take that step. There's that gap is missing. There's where the Bridge Builders fits in. So amazing concept, amazing program. And it took somebody like you to bring it forward. And I'm so pleased that you have.
As they say, and to coin Dean Gracioso, I create a message where my mess was, and seeing that we don't have the resources that we need and living that. I mean, this Mary Morrissey also says it's the content of my curriculum to see what needs to be done. And had I not been underemployed, if I had been one of these individuals who was Aspie, who did go and get a job, who would ever foresee the need to create the resources that women don't have? And every time I almost get upset because every so often someone will say to me, well, you have to find the people that have the money so you can coach them, so you can make money. I'm like, but that's not solving the problem. I will give up on the hundreds of thousands of or 6-figure, 8-figure income if I can make a difference to change the way the world sees autism. I don't want, the money would be great. We all know that. But why am I going to sacrifice the people who really need me just so I can go out and find the autistic women who are actually like Temple Grandin or some of my other individuals I know who got through a career before they found out that they were Aspie, and they've earned a living. It took me to be underemployed to truly see what the need is for half of this world. Let me share a statistic. In 2017, there were only 32% of the Asperger demographic working. Only 16 of that 32% actually had full-time jobs.
Yep.
Only 16% of 32% had jobs, which means that there were 68% unemployed, living off of parents, being controlled. And here's a quick thing of my story. I was so living off my family that they held my puppet strings. They told me what I could do. They told me where I could live. They told me when I could go on vacation. And they also told me when I couldn't because I couldn't afford it. I'm watching my brothers go to Hawaii and take their families everywhere. And I'm being told I can't afford to because I'm Aspie.
And you don't understand that. You know what I mean? How does that make sense? I mean, you can go, why can't I go? You guys are enjoying this time. Why can't I enjoy it with you?
Mhm.
Right. So there's the mindset there. So, Suzanne, thank you for your time today. Guys, do you have any final thoughts or questions that you want to throw in? Because this has been exciting. So love to see okay, let's just have your final thoughts on what you've heard today.
My final thought is just that Suzanne is amazing. She is heart-centered. She is more concerned about solving the problems than making a profit. And I know, and she knows that the money that can come in that can help support what she needs to do is something that's going to be a bridge builder activity. So you're going to need some funds and support to be able to do this program, but you're going to get creative, I know, and how that needs to happen. And I totally support the volunteer concept, but I know that there's going to be some people that maybe your angel investors that are going to bring those funds. So that way you can move from the model of having the volunteer to having paid people on your team that support these services and take this, worldwide. That's what I see for you. And it's because you have that passion and that drive and you're in it for all of the right reasons that there's going to be some people that are going to help you. I just know it. And so just
Absolutely
keep going with the faith in that.
I know it. And like I said, look, it's going to start with volunteers. You know what I mean? It's going to start with those people who are going to help you. And I'm with you on board with that. So I know that it's going to come. And you talk how you're not going to be a six-figure earner. You know what I mean? You don't care whether you will be. But look, as somebody who's spearheading an organization like this, and there are angel investors, there are plenty of people on this corporate side, this other island that you were talking about, who have money, who've earned their life, who want to help support this. Because again, like you said, maybe somebody's mother, somebody's daughter, somebody's father, somebody's brother is on the spectrum. Because they've experienced this, they now want to help be that bridge builder. So, and some of these people, in fact, a lot of them, I'm sure, have money. So you're going to find what you need. I know that for a fact. So looking forward to
That
seeing
would be
you.
wonderful. I'd love to live behind Starbucks.
And again, as the spearhead or the CEO or whatever role you play, you get to draw a salary off of that. Hopefully you're not like the guy from what is it, United Nations? No, not United Nations. United Way, who takes $2 million off the top because he's well. But again, if you're bringing in $250 million a year, really, what's a $2 million salary, right? So you have to understand that if this organization is successful, that is going to provide for you because you are the spearhead behind this great organization. So I look forward to
wonderful.
I-
That
I
would be
ha-
absolutely awesome.
Listen, I've recently come back to God. I've recently embraced my faith. And look, I truthfully believe that things happen for a reason and everything unravels in its time. I've recently come back to God and been able to embrace that concept because you guys have some of you know my story and why I don't or have had such a hard time accepting faith into my life. But I have faith that God had a purpose for you. He kept you around for a reason. And look, we've said this even about you. There's two great days in a person's life. John Maxwell says it: the day they're born and the day they realize why. You have realized why you were born. So
Yeah.
That's awesome.
absolutely. Curtis, do you have anything to add?
I think I covered everything, but I think that Susan knows what she needs to do in her life and she's going to get it. And success will come. Just keep at it, be consistent and persistent, and it happens every time. Just keep on going. That's all you got to do.
I will keep going. I need my biggest need at the moment is to teach me how to run an organization. I think I will find the right people who will help me run the organization because
Let's
I'm
put it out
still
there.
empty.
That's good.
You don't think
Yeah,
you
good
know.
work.
You
I
know.
know.
You will ask for those people who are going to help you run this organization, and they will flock to you. I believe that. So good luck. So as a beacon, one of the things we're going to be working on is you're going to feature some master classes, some workshops within our community. And I believe let's start teaching people about autism. what it is, how it, how it works, how we can help people with autism. Let's set that up so that we can start featuring you. And I hope anybody who watches today's show takes everything and your passion and feels what you just laid out for us, because you painted quite a picture. I've got it clearly in my mind because of everything you've told us today. So I hope, like you said, that we're going to see some CEOs and some people who, financiers and lawyers who are going to help fill those key roles in your organization and put this together. I totally envision that for you.
I have a website that I will be entering in, and we can hopefully put it up. It's called aspybridgebuilders.com.
Aspy Bridge Builder, and Aspy is spelled ASPIE.
IE, and then Bridge Builders, and both Bridge and Builders is capital B too.
So capital, well, it doesn't matter whether you put them
I'll
capital.
put it
It's
into
a way
the-
to divide the words. Absolutely.
Way
So
you
it's
look at it,
aspybridgebuilders.com.
Yes.
ABB.
Wonderful.
And I will be fixing that. I had to fix it quickly, but I'll fix it and I'll put it into our site. So that
It's
we
all
can-
about growth. You've already started the process. So
Mhm.
Suzanne, thank you, for this
Thank you.
interview today.
Awesome.
Thank you for being a beacon of leadership, and thank you for everything you're doing to change the world.
Thank you so
All
much.
right.
I appreciate this
So-
opportunity.
So
All right, guys.
that's it for today. And
Yes.
guys, we are your beacon of leadership. Again, I am RJ Horner, beacon of life and leadership, along with my team.
Curtis Leon, Beacon of Positivity. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell on YouTube.
And Linda Tilson, Beacon of Team Empowerment.
Absolutely. And thank you guys. Until next time, better days ahead.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Thank you.